I've come today to Cardiff in South Wales, and I've walked 2.5 miles outside the city centre to Cathays Cemetery. Cathays is reportedly one of the largest in the UK, so we're going to have a little wander through it. We're not going to be able to see it all, of course. If it really is one of the largest, we'll pick out some of the more interesting memorials. Just inside the entrance that I've come in through, there is this large one here, and on the base is a very clear to read metal inscription, and it says Patrick William Carey, JP, Alderman of this city, died 1910. And down here it says entrance to the vault. 4 large crosses here, but I'm more interested in the small stone between them, which is one of the war graves. And this is 2nd Lieutenant A.J. Purnell, Royal Army Pay Corps, 1941, age 55. There's a massive memorial here. And according to this notice here, it's the tomb of Bishop John Cuthbert Headley. A large one here with a cross being left where they've clearly cleared other stones away. But the inscription on this side reads, "Of your charity, pray for the souls of the following children of Dennis and Catherine McCarthy. Patrick, 1865, age 5. Mary died 1865, age 2. Catherine died 1866, age 9 months. Joanna died 1867, age 2 months. And John died 1868, age 2 months. There's one here in memory of the French sailors who died in World War I. This is a sizable piece of stone, a very clear inscription. Annie Isabella Hallinan, the beloved wife of Patrick, and for some reason it gives his exact address, 47 Cathedral Road, Cardiff. This one here is in memory of Cyril Stephen, the son of Joseph and Rebecca Cravos, who was killed in action in France in 1917, aged 20 years. This one is to John Cooper, a master mariner, and Jane, his wife, but also mentions at the bottom their 2 sons. Philip Vincent, 11th Battalion Welsh Regiment, 1916, died aged 25, buried at Karasuli, Macedonia. And then on the base of the stone we've got Joseph Herbert, who was lost at sea through enemy action, 1917, aged 31. A little story on this one. Charles, the son of Edward and Anne Jenkins, died 1901 on board SS Shakespeare, aged 19 years. He was buried at sea off Cape Finisterre in the Bay of Biscay. We've got a couple of war graves here. This is Private B. Edwards, Notts and Derby Regiment, who died in 1920. And almost lost in the trees here is Driver ICF Maidment, Royal Field Artillery, 1919, aged 22. This one is in memory of Louisa Maud Evans, 14 and a half, who met her death in 1896. On that day she ascended in a balloon from Cardiff and descended by a parachute into the Bristol Channel. Her body was found washed ashore near Nash, Monmouth on 24th July, and she was buried here on the 29th to commemorate the sad ending of a brave young life. What on earth was she doing at the age of 14 and a half, ascending in a balloon and descending by parachute? It doesn't seem to be a good thing for a child to be doing. What I have noticed in this cemetery is a bad case of health and safety-itis. A lot of the stones have been pushed over. They tend to do this if they're starting to lean. The caretakers of the cemeteries tend to push them over so they're lying flat. It's generally quite unnecessary, and if they are concerned with them falling, they could easily put a stake behind and bind the stone to it and keep it upright. However, a little bit of a story on here. The part way down, their eldest son Trevor Williams, who was second lieutenant in the 30th Punjabis, Indian Army, died at Sukar, Northwest Region, India, 1918, age 20, and is interred there. Private W.R. Collins, King's Shropshire Light Infantry, 1918, aged 18. A little bit unusual, the inscription here of Helena Maud Collins, dearly beloved wife, mother and friend, a lover of boys, birds and flowers. The girls aren't getting a look in on this one. One here with a rather mournful looking angel with a wreath in her hands, and it's Annie, the devoted wife of Charles Hardwick and a loving mother, and then Charles himself. Some very clever carving in the stone on this one, with the angel and the wings brought out in relief and the leaves above. Can't make out the name, but a nice bit of memorial stonework. Just underneath the trees here, we've got a nice carving of possibly an angel. I don't see any wings though, hanging onto a cross, and the inscription is to Captain Charles Blayault and his wife Mary. A distinctive memorial here with the angel on top carrying a cross and a chain across the shoulders, and the memorial here underneath this posy of white roses, I think, says to Mary, the faithful wife and friend of George H. Elvidge of Cardiff, a master mariner. All around me I have this pictures of the vandalism by the health and safety people, where all these stones have been pushed over. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 pushed over there. There's one over here. If I take you around over here, there's 1, 2, 3, all pushed over. And of course they won't last once they're pushed over. They gather water on the face and the frost gets into them. More of them, just vandalised. This one has smashed into many pieces. There's more up there. It is such a shame. Not all cemeteries go through this process. Cardiff seems to have been particularly vigorous on the health and safety front. Here's one with some fancy designs around the outside, and in the middle it's Sarah Jane, the wife of John Edgar Davis, ship chandler in Cardiff. This is a rather nice way of building an angel into a statue, rather than just putting her on top, which many of them do. You can even see her clearly defined face. And it's rather nicely done, that one. And the memorial is to Lawrence, surname Lawrence. One here to Barbara S.W. Williams, Women's Auxiliary Air Force, a WAF, who died in 1940, aged just 17. An extraordinary memorial here. I've never seen anything like it before, and it's for the Mossford family. A list of names down there: Trevor, Florence, Hilary, Joe and Clara. One here with the broken column indicating a life cut short, and on the front we have David Joseph Davies, a builder, with his address, number 64, died in 1896, aged 53 years. Now I'm just coming up to an area where big, tall, obelisk type monuments seem to be very popular. An unusual design here. The branch that's wrapped round at the top has a very deliberate cut in it. There is a flaming torch upside down and an anchor, and it's to John Stuart Rogers. There's a little story on this one. John Pearson, for 20 years a resident of Cardiff and formerly of Dewsbury, Yorkshire, who died on his golden wedding day. There really is a host of these tall obelisk type monuments round by this entrance of the cemetery. Almost a contest to see who can get the tallest and most obvious of these. Well, this one here gets the award for the highest obelisk in this area of the cemetery, and the inscription is to Archibald Hood, colliery owner of Midlothian and Glamorgan. That's how he could afford, or his family could afford, such a very large memorial. Colliery owner. Unusual. Not quite sure what the architect was trying to do with this memorial. Maybe there was a figure that stood on top of this. Joseph Ramsdale, JP, Cardiff, 1906 he died, and various other members of his family. This is a very solid lump of polished granite, and the top name is Eliza, the beloved wife of Jeremiah Jacobs, 1875, and then Jeremiah Jacobs, and then William Albert Jacobs. This one is to Annie, the wife of Richard Evans, and underneath Richard Evans, first General Manager of Barry Docks and Railways, died 1912. A war grave here to Staff Sergeant P.R. Turner, Royal Army Medical Corps, 1918. Gladys E.S. Thomas, wife of Bryce D. Thomas, OBE, Master Mariner, and their son David B. Thomas, who died in Moji, Japan, and several other names on the stone there. Here's one for the Royal Air Force, Pilot Officer R.C. Morgan, 1941, age 34, and underneath is in memory of his son. There are several here which are just the simple words. This one here, Forrester, 1907, 1908, 1931. Identical stone, Phillips, 1905, 1913. Griffiths, 1902, 1911. This one is to Jones, and there are several more, absolutely identical, with just very simple name and date on. And yet more of these simple name and date stones. 4, 5, 6, 7 up there. And a row further back, there's a pair of them there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. Across the path there are several more. Simple, identical stones with just a surname and a simple year date. 3 more there, and back behind the row over there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not quite sure what the explanation is for those. Another one for the Royal Air Force, May 1941, age 31, aircraft man, T.S. Davies. One here to Robert Byrd, Justice of the Peace, and further down, Charles Hayward Byrd, Knight, CBE, JP, Lord Mayor of Cardiff, 1910-11. On the side of this memorial, we've got George Alfred Turner, a marine engineer, on active service on HMS troopship Tras Os Morts, 1916, aged 36 years. Difficult to make it out in detail, and it says there underneath, buried at Shetland. This is W.H. Williams, first mate of the SS Mohacsfield, 1917, aged 29. And here's one, part way down, their son, Arthur Charles Coakley, AM, RAF, killed in action in the North Sea, July the 4th, 1918, 18 years and 10 months. My dear husband, Thomas James, of the Vulcan Foundry. Some missing letters on this one, but part way down it says John Palmer, husband of the above, who lost his life at the Dowlis Cardiff works. That was a major iron and steel works in this area, so obviously a works related accident. There's quite an elaborate stone here, but I'm showing it because it's one of the very few stones that I've noted that has anything actually written in the Welsh language. I'm not going to try and pronounce it, but there's one using Welsh. This one here is for Lieutenant J. Aubrey Owen, and the stone has got his ceremonial sword draped over the stone. One here for the Tank Corps, 1919, J. Million, private. Looking across this area are quite a number of war graves. I'm looking at possibly 20 in this area alone. A little different here. I'm just looking at the carving, presumably the Virgin Mary, and I won't try and pronounce those names. A pair of war memorials here, both to the same surname, S. Mellish, Royal Army Medical Corps, 1920, and then Guardsman S.C. Melhush, Welsh Guards, 1941, age 28. An outstanding one here in the white stone with the picture of a woman, possibly the Virgin Mary, holding the baby, presumably baby Jesus, on the top. One here with the iron railing still in place. Of your charity, pray for the repose of the soul of my beloved wife, Mary Ann Landrican, who departed this life 1860, age 35. I'll finish on this one. It's almost lost in the trees here. A. McCarthy, Welsh Regiment, 1915, age 46. Well, I've been here for several hours now. There is so much to see. You could spend several days here and not really get to grips with it. It's a very large cemetery. But I'll leave you with these parting shots. Till the next time.